there, Facebook community. Thank you so much for tuning in to our Facebook Live today. Today we have a special guest to talk to us about dog sports. You know, dog sports are so popular. There's so many things you can do. And there's a ton out there that you didn't even know existed, right? So Jinnie Strickland offered to share her time and her knowledge with us today to learn more about AKC sports, but some other venues as well, because she is a dog sport enthusiast. She has a wealth of knowledge, and we're going to pick her brain to learn more about these sports, because did you know there's a dog sport for that? Jinnie, thank you so much for joining us on our Facebook Live here. Let's get started. So you're telling me that there's more than just the traditional sports?
There are. I mean, I know at CCA, you guys have a ton of training opportunities with rally and obedience and agility, scent work. You do a little bit of this and that and get people ready to go out and compete successfully. But you know what? There are a ton of things to do with your dogs.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. Now, I know you and your team just recently discovered something that was new to you, and you're digging it, aren't you?
Totally digging it and getting everybody else hooked on it.
You and the dogs are loving the Fast Cat. So you're thinking out there in the world, if you haven't heard of Fast Cat, you chase cats? No.
I mean, you could, but it's really not.
But that's not the point.
No.
Actually, Fast Cat is like a timed 100-yard dash that the dogs chase a lure, which is a plastic baggie, the white plastic trash bag. They love it. But it's all about speed. How fast can you go? But even the slow dogs still get to go fast enough to have a good time. And once they love that, they love it. And then the people love it because they know how fast and fun their dogs are having. The
100%.
Dogs have a great time, and it's a great hangout sport because you got to wait your turn and you get to watch, and it's a lot of fun. And there's a lot of things like that you may not know about that are out there. So AKC has a ton of sports. AKC is like the dog thing, right? And everybody thinks of AKC as the dog shows in Westminster and wearing your suit and your shoes and trotting around the ring. And it's right. And they also think that it's all about pedigreed dogs. Well, a lot of dog sports are all about pedigreed dogs because they're geared towards that form follows function of the dog. So, you know, you got your hunting sports, you got your herding sports, terriers, that's your world. Yeah. They got terrier sports. So they're geared towards specific breeds or groups, but there are a whole bunch of them that are for every dog, or what I like to call the other AKC dogs, the all kinds combined. I got an acronym for everything, man.
Oh my.
So if you were to go to the AKC website, which if you want to write it down, it's www.akc.org. So that's where you find it. Or just Google the American Kennel Club and poof, there it is. Mm-hmm. But if you were to go on there and Google or search for titles, you would find out that there's a whole list of titles. So if you watch a dog show and you see all the names with the fancy names with all the letters behind or the letters in front, those are titles. And the thing about dog sports is you can work for titles. You can work for the just going out to play titles, or you can work for the major high level, I am doing this almost as a profession kind of titles. So the ones in front of the name are usually championships. Those are the ones that are the highest level, the ones wherever you've done everything there is to do. And there are 47 of those.
Wow.
What? Exactly.
Okay, Jinnie, I actually didn't know that the titles before were like the cream of the crop, like the really big ones. Okay. So you always see all the names and it's just like overwhelming.
Right. And you have some dogs. There's a Vizsla out there that has the most titled dog in America, and it has like 38 titles or something. I mean, its name is just like goes across the screen.
That's too much.
But there are 47 of the prefix titles, and those are the championships. And those are your obedience trial champions or your agility trial champions, your tracking champions. All of the highest levels go in front of the name. Okay. And a lot of those are geared towards breed specific things like herding champions and that kind of thing. But then agility, obedience, tracking, any dog can do those, right? Mm-hmm. So there's 47 of those, but that's just like this much because on the back end, the suffix titles, 217.
What?
Recognized by the AKC.
Wow.
Now, some of those are, again, breed group specifics, like your working dog or your terrier titles. There's a titles for terriers. It's called Earth Dog. Have you heard about Earth Dog?
I have heard about it. I've never seen it.
So man-made tunnels that they build in the ground with some quarry pinned up in there, and they send the dogs in the tunnels. And it's a timed event, style points. Terriers and dachshunds do it as well because they're kind of earthy dogs, but it's called Earth Dogs.
And that's when they go to ground, right?
They go to ground. That's right. Here, go to ground. Hunting titles, your bird dogs, all manner of bird dogs. You got pointers, setters, spaniels. They have different hunting titles for those. The retrievers, they have water retrieves. Can they go out and get the bird and bring it back to the boat? So all kinds of titles based on form follows function. What does the dog do?
Right. What's their job, right? Sometimes we forget that, because they're just our couch potato dogs.
Exactly. So Dalmatians, they're beautiful, spotted, lovely Dalmatians, beautiful to look at. But, they had a job too once upon a time, and it was to go with the coaches and protect the coaches. There's a coaching title.
Wow.
You can do a competition with a coach, with a coach or a wagon or whatever you want to call them. So
buggy, whatever they're. That's before our time.
Something with a horse, They didn't just ride on the fire trucks to begin with, but that's kind of how it started when the fire trucks were pulled by horses. The coach dogs went along with. So there's that kind of thing. And then you have kind of your, I'm going to say every dog kind of sport. So we love scent work, don't we? We love our scent work.
That is another addiction. Yep.
I know. Yes. And it's something that is kind of new to our AKC world. It's not new, but it's new to the AKC world.
Right.
So we have that kind of thing that has gone on. And we have a lot of those different sports. And agility, geez, those agility folks have a million opportunities for titles. I don't know how many classes there are because I got tired of counting them, but there are a bunch of them. So we have the opportunity for different dog sports to play different dog games. And so that's great. In addition to the AKC sports, we have things like the breed dogs or the working dogs have sledding, karting, where they do a little cart and they have to go around a course, kind of like rally. I had an opportunity to watch it with the Rottweiler group just at the beginning of the month in California. And it was really interesting because you hook a dog up to a little cart and they go around through the course, basically. And then there's tracking. So you have all your pulling sports, but then you have your scent sports, like we talked about scent work. But there are other things like tracking, which is looking for a person walking through a course that's blind. You don't know where it is. The dog knows, but you don't. And they have to end up finding an article that you dropped. So it's like man trailing, search and rescue kind of. So a lot of our sports are based on something that they did as a job once upon a time.
Right. And now we just make it a sport.
Yeah. Now we just make it a sport because, why not? We're people. We like ribbons. You like ribbons? I like ribbons. It's just fun. But you don't always have to be competing for a ribbon.
Right.
Sometimes just the opportunity to go out and spend the time with your dog is, 99% of what a lot of us do sports for. Now, aside from the AKC, there's a bunch of different venues that have a bunch of different sports. Did anybody use antlers for their dogs, that they like to chew? Do you guys chew antlers? Or have you seen
antlers in the comments if you give your dog antlers?
Yep. So antlers, do you know there's a sport called shed hunting?
No, I didn't know it was a sport. I knew it was something you could do.
Yep. They have a sport. There's a sport. Obviously, I don't know all of the rules, but there's a sport and it's how many can you get find in a time? Again, it's kind of a scent sport, find the shed.
Could be pretty lucrative if you do it as a side hustle, right?
Exactly. I thought that was really interesting because I didn't know there was a sport either until I started looking at it. I'm like, really? Well, that's kind of different.
Totally.
I know. Shed hunting. Anybody like to dance? Canine freestyle. Have anybody seen that on, you can, if you YouTube that, canine freestyle, dancing with your dogs. America's Got Talent, they had the gal that did the freestyle dancing that made it all the way to the finals with her dogs, with the canine. But that's also not just for fun, but they have a competition. It's like ballroom dancing. Ballroom dancing for dogs, right?
Well, and you see that a lot at Crufts too, because Crufts does a lot of freestyle with dogs.
Because Crufts is so big that, that's where agility was invented.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Agility was invented at Crufts, so people had something to watch in between the dog show.
Huh.
I know, isn't that hilarious? And now agility is a super sport.
Mm-hmm. Everybody knows what that is.
Exactly. I mean, because that is kind of a mainstream sport. You get to see it on ESPN, the Incredible Dog Challenge. They do the, super weed poles, which is all part of agility, and different parts of that they break off. But it's agility, and so it's a very popular sport. And like I said, lots of classes. And the nice thing about AKC agility, since we kind of segued back into agility when we moved on from dancing, but the nice thing about agility is they have actually done what's called the ACT, which is the agility. Shoot, it's an acronym that I can't remember. But basically what it is it gives the opportunity to go out and practice. And you get a certificate if you complete the courses. But it's for brand new people that are not quite ready for prime time. And they want to go out and see, can my dog do that? Are we ready to move forward? So it gives you that opportunity to play and practice. So
that's super cool.
Yeah, it's super nice that a lot of these things are kind of giving us a little taste. Here's a taste. Here's a taste. So if you want to be a dabbler, I'm a dabbler. I like to dabble in a lot of little things. You don't necessarily have to be at the highest level. You can still go out and play with your dog. So
because it's all about having fun with your dog.
Exactly. And what is your interest? Do you like to spend time out in the wilderness? We'll go shed hunting. Are you more of an indoor dress up kind of person? Maybe you want to do freestyle. You can wear costumes with that.
Right. Yeah. Just what's your interest? What's your dog's, interest and personality like that you can pair that up with the sport.
Exactly. So, and then another one that's super popular, and I know that CCA just had their first kind of workshop, I think. I'm not sure what you called it, but for dock diving. What did you call it?
Our first class.
Yes. So beginning dock diving. Dock diving is super popular. If you've not seen it, what it is it's a big portable pool with a dock, and the dogs will charge off the dock and leap into the pool in quest of their bumper retrieved that they want to get. But there's a lot of different things with dock diving where they do vertical leaps and distance leaps.
Speed retrieve.
How fast can you get it? Yes. And it is amazing. And the dogs that love it just love it. And dock diving actually is one of those sports that's kind of interesting because it's very competitive, but it's also a lot of fun. There's always a lot of cheering and clapping and music and just a lot of hoopla, if you will. So it's a lot of fun. People set up their setups and picnic all day and hang out. So there's a lot of camaraderie there at dock diving. And you'll see dock diving independently as just dock diving events, and you can see it at dog shows. So there's a lot of opportunity for dock diving. It's one of those things that has really caught on and is super popular. And there are dock diving Danes, and there are dock diving Corgis, and there's dock diving Terriers. And
I've seen probably a little bit of everything.
Somebody was telling me there, Boston looks like a bowling ball in the water, but he loves it.
I know.
Kind of like, pick it up, whoop.
Exactly. Yay, got 2 feet.
And that's kind of the attitude of it is, yay, you did it. So
because jumping off that dock is no joke.
Exactly. And again, dock diving, they have like fun days, I don't know what they call them exactly, but like fun runs where you get to practice and get your dog in the water a lot of times. So very welcoming, something that they want people to be able to try and have a good time at. So if you got one of those water dogs, Now, if you got one that's
even
like,
if you don't, some people, they just work at it and the dog eventually is like, yeah, this is pretty fun.
this is okay, we can do that.
Yeah, especially if they're very toy motivated.
Right, exactly. So one of the other fun things, it's very popular and out and about, that's it's not an AKC sport, but like dog diving, AKC recognizes the titles. So if you have a dog with you put the titles on the back of their name, blah, 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 blah. You know, you can add those on there if you like titles. I like titles. I admit I like getting the certificates with all the little letters behind their names.
Totally.
But Barn Hunt. So Barn Hunt is a standalone organization. The AKC does recognize their titles. But Barn Hunt, and if you have never seen Barn Hunt, you need to find one to go watch because it's fun to watch.
It is very interesting to watch, especially the Crazy Eights.
The Crazy Eights. So Barn Hunt is where the dogs are looking for a live rat. And if you're like me, you're like, ew.
Or like, oh no, animal activist. No.
Yes. Or I'm like, ew, I don't like rodents. But I tell you, the rat care and control for Barn Hunt is crazy. The easiest way to get banned from Barn Hunt is not be nice to the rats.
Mm-hmm. There's a union, people. There's a union.
Yes, the rats there's a very prescribed method of care and comfort for the rats. But the rats are hidden in great piles of straw and hay, and the dogs have a timed amount of time where they run around and try and find a prescribed number of rats, depending on where you're at. You know, if you're at the very bottom, you just find one. If there's the one course called Crazy Eights where there's 8 of them hidden, and it's how fast can you find those 8?
Mm-hmm.
And but it is a time sport, and it goes up in levels. You get more rats, more hay. Sorry,
and there's other tubes with other things, Jinnie.
Oh
right?
yeah, leg tubes with nothing, or what they call rat litter. In other words, rat bedding, rat poop.
Mm-hmm. Yes, where the rat has been.
Where the rat has been. So obviously it has a ratty rat McRat smell, right? Ratty McRat smell. But anyway, it's an interesting sport. It's very fun. The person that designed it kind of built it on the back in the day, the itinerant farmers, they had rats in their granaries, and they're like, hey, terrier man, come out and bring your rat dog and come out and clear out my granary or my barn.
Mm-hmm.
Then, I mean, obviously that's not what we do today, but
right.
That's where it started, right? And but the thing about Barn Hunt is any dog can do it. Even tripods can do it, as long as they can fit in the prescribed tunnel. So your big, ginormous Great Dane or your Wolfhound that can't do a low crawl might have some difficulty with that, but pretty much any dog can do Barn Hunt. So that's a really fun sport. And you can find that information at barnhunt.com. They have a calendar of events. You can see what's going on. It's really easy to find. And if you want to play, you just register your dog with Barn Hunt and show up to play.
Yeah, just read the rules before you go.
Definitely read the rules.
Yeah, and a lot of them I've seen have been paired up with AKC events.
Mm-hmm.
So you can do a lot of things at one venue, which is nice too.
Here in Georgia, we're in the Atlanta area. We're lucky because we have several different all breed areas where we have a bunch of these different things that go on. So, so if you don't want to go to a dog show, or you want to go to a dog show and you want to see multiple things or try multiple things, this gives you that opportunity. So that's fun as well. So then there's some kind of more obscure things like dog parkour. Now, I've never seen it, but it's also called urban dog agility. I haven't had the opportunity to see it. I watched a couple of YouTube videos just because I found it interesting. But it's kind of like parkour with the humans, which is where, you know, they run around and jump off things and things and through things, and that's kind of dog parkour. I think it's a fairly new thing. So I'm not quite sure how tight all the sport of it is, because it's really kind of new. But it's certainly something, if you're interested in, check it out. You know,
totally.
You've got one of those crazy dogs, and you're kind of crazy yourself, and you want to run around and jump off things. That no fear people. Remember those bumper stickers? No fear.
I know. Where did those go?
I don't know.
Now it's just fear.
Right. Yeah, I'm older now. Just fear. Yeah. That's what we
we
need.
know. We know too much.
I've fallen and I can't get up. Yeah.
Yeah. Or if you just have super agile dogs, you know.
Yeah. So there's my bad dogs barking. They hear something. Sorry about that. Come here, Bailey. Come here. Be quiet, big mouth dog.
They just wanted to make sure we talked about like IPO, right?
That's right, exactly. So we were talking about parkour. Well, another kind of really active sport is the canine biathlon. So, and they actually have that here in Georgia, for those of you that are local. I know I invited a lot of my corgi pals. I don't know if anybody came, but I invited them all to come. But here in Georgia, they have a biathlon or a canine obstacle course where you actually run and do those crazy courses with your dogs. So if you want to run through the mud and do the low crawl under the webbing stuff, the dogs are doing the belly crawl, and I don't want to do that.
But it's really great for people who are athletic and very active, and they're very active with their dog. It's definitely something to, set as a goal if you want to be more athletic with your dog, because it's not something that you're like a weekend warrior, right, that you sit on the couch and then you go do that with your dog.
That's definitely
a good goal.
Yes. Yeah. Physical training. So if you want to do, the version of Ninja Warrior with your dog, you got to go out and train. That's not, you're right. Definitely not something you're like, oh, hey, I think I'll sign up for this weekend.
Correct.
The dog could have injuries, so we don't want any of that.
Right. And I know, like, if I get to do it with my dog, I'm much more motivated to do the practice.
Exactly. Like scajoring. We don't skajor here in Georgia. Not a skajoring thing. But skajoring is where you do cross-country skiing with your dog. So you and your dog are attached, and off you go.
I mean, they're definitely, and it might be on your list, but there is that urban mushing. Like, that's very popular here in Atlanta.
Yes, the urban mushing. I don't think cardigans would like to do that. I just had this mental picture of the urban mushing. Of course,
maybe with a child.
So, although I do sometimes say, could I teach him karting so that they can haul all my dog show stuff around?
That'd be awesome.
But I need a team, not just one. So I'd have to have a team, right? But, so canine biathlons, skajoring, there are numerous kind of urban mushing. And then there are the sledding, the kind of outdoor physical ones. Sledding for the the mushing type of dogs. So they have all that kind of thing with the different sledding, and there's competitions for that, not just the Iditarod, but just kind of generic sledding competitions. So there are those.
Totally. And then Mary here is reminding us that hopefully I'm showing on your screen there that we've got the cross country.
Right. That's that whole, low crawl craziness. I had some friends that did it, and they were very muddy when they were done. So, but they had a great time, and they want to sign up to do it the next time as well. But lots of different kind of athletic sports that for those of you that really want to get out there and do, running, skiing, biking kind of thing. Did you know you could get a patch for walking your dog?
No way.
Yes. The AKC, it's called the Fit Canine, and you log your miles or your walks.
Okay.
When you reach, a goal, they'll send you a patch, like to put on a jacket or a chair or something.
That might be a good fall thing. We should create like some teams. Okay.
Canine Fit Canine, I think is what it's called.
That'd be awesome. Okay, cool. We'll have to post more information on that for sure.
Right. So you just post, as you're doing your regular walks, you just keep track of them, and then you turn in your mileage, kind of like you would with your MyFitnessPal. You know how it collects your mileage, and you just put that in, and then you can get patches for, like if you sew them on the back of your chair or something.
Your dog supply bag that you bring everywhere.
Wherever you want to put a patch,
Yeah, that's super cool.
So you don't have to necessarily be doing the decathlon. You could be taking walks with your dog, and what's better than that, right?
Right, totally.
Dogs
And
are
have a
like,
little bonus reward for it.
the dogs are like, this is the best thing ever. So as we move on down the sport list, so we've kind of gotten out of, so we've got the athletic people dogs. So now let's do the fast dogs. Let's talk about fast dogs.
Okay.
So we briefly talked about Fast Cat.
We did, which is super fast.
Super fast. Mm-hmm. And what Fast Cat is, a little more specific, is it's a 100-yard dash. There's timers that at the start and the finish, and you have your team of your releaser and your catcher, and the dogs will be released and they chase the lure for 100 yards, and it's a timed event. And as soon as they hit the other end, it's timed, and then they get points based on how fast they are, and they actually handicap based on what size they are. Right. Because obviously, you get a greyhound versus, a toy fox terrier, probably not going to be running at the same speed.
Correct.
So they give you a handicap, which is a good thing. So you get points, and then you get different titles based on how many points you earn.
Exactly. And it's super fun to look up. If you just Google, you can find it on the AKC website, but I just Google, fastest toy fox terrier if you have a purebred dog. And it's really neat because you can see like all time, and then just for this year, like who's fastest.
Right. So Bailey is my 10-year-old cardigan who loves all the fast sports. But she's 10 years old and she's a cardigan, and she is the second to the slowest. There's only one slower than she is, but I don't care because she's her favorite thing.
It's super fun to watch. I mean, even if you just watch it, it's one of those things I thought I would never get interested in because all the dogs are like so jacked up and crazy at the beginning. But they love it.
And then you get the great photographers that are out there laying on the ground taking photos of your dogs running down the course, and you could just see the joy in their eyes of how exciting this is.
It looks like they're flying. It is so crazy.
It is. So Fast Cat is 100 yards. And then there's CAT, which is the coursing aptitude test. And CAT is based on what the sighthounds do. Your Afghans, your Whippets, your Greyhounds, they actually have breed or group competitions where they race each other. And it's based on, the old sports when they were hunting, out in the desert and that kind of thing. So they have these breed sports, but then they decided to let every dog play, and they called it CAT, which is the coursing aptitude test. And it's basically the same kind of thing, a lure on a pulley, but this is now a course. And depending on the size of your dog and the breed of your dog, it's either 300, 400, or 600 yards. And it's turns and, switchbacks and around, and they chase the white baggie, and they have a really good time. And so, again, that's something that you can do with your dog. And it's kind of instinctual. So it doesn't take a ton of training per se. It's not like you're training to, they have to know how to chase the white bag, but they're not, you're not necessarily training. It's an instinct more of anything else.
Correct. Yes, so, absolutely.
So you kind of have that, that you able to do. So that's a really fun sport. And then there's another fast dog sport that does take a little more training, and that's flyball.
Ah, yeah.
Talk about dogs getting jacked up. Woohoo!
I'll never forget the first flyball competition I went to observe. Woo! It was indoors.
Oh boy. Did you need earplugs? Yeah.
Yes. And I had a headache afterwards. But those dogs were like lightning.
So flyball is a very interesting kind of addition, a funky way of playing fetch, man. So the flyball, there's a box at the end of the run that the dogs have to hit with their feet, and it releases a ball, hence the word flyball. Mm-hmm. The dogs then catch that ball, and then they run back to their handlers. But in between that run are little hurdles. So they have to jump over the hurdles to get to the box, catch the ball, run back over the hurdles. And it's a team sport.
Yep.
And so what's really interesting is they're always looking for a short dog to be on your team.
Yes.
Your short dog to be on your team, it's like the bad bowler. When you're bowling, if you need a bad bowler to get your handicap really low. Same thing they do with Flyball is they look for that short dog, short and fast, to bring their hurdle handicap down so that even the big dogs are jumping the short dog handicap.
Yep.
So that really kind of makes it a interesting thing because you got these big old long-legged dogs just kind of bounding over these hurdles, and then you got Shorty going at Mach speed, right?
Yes.
So that's a really noisy and fast sport.
It is, and it's intense.
Yes, and that's crazy. And then some other fast sports that are not necessarily connected with the AKC, but you see them in places, are like the terrier races.
Oh, okay.
It's like a horse race, sort of, where they release them and they run, and the fastest one that gets to the end is the winner.
Well, have you seen the dachshund races?
Like the dachshund
in Atlanta this year, yeah.
Yes, and they've seen corgi races. They like to do it with short dogs. I guess it's the short dogs that need to do it.
Short dog, fast dogs, yeah.
Yeah, short fast dogs. So I've seen the corgi races and then dachshund races. But again, it's something to do with your dog, right? If your dog likes to run and they don't mind running with another bunch of dogs, then shoot, why not? Go hang out with your friends and have races.
Totally.
I know. So, yeah, exactly. But then there's some other sports. We were talking about flyball, so we'll throw the balls in there. There's some couple of different sports that I like to call it soccer with your dog or herding balls. It's called a tray ball or push tray ball, and it is basically kind of that. You know, the exercise balls. I mean, I know at CCA you guys have done it before. Had some different.
Yeah, we sampled it. It's a weighted ball. Yep.
Yep. So you kind of use those exercise balls, and they have some different sizes too, and different.
Right.
And ultimately, there's a net, like a goal for soccer, and the dogs will push individual balls at direction into this net. And there's various, ways of going about it and different things that they do. But think about it. You have one of those dogs that's out in the backyard pushing their jolly ball around, or
it's a herding breed that doesn't get a herd.
And you don't get, who's got sheep and ducks in their yard? Not me. No. Definitely no cattle. But if you've got a herder and they will herd anything, well, I bet they'll herd a big exercise ball. Mm-hmm. And you channel that. And you get to go and the dog has a good time and you have a good time, and shoot, you get to get a ribbon and a prize and a title, and then you can say, my dog does this. Look at their name.
Look at all those titles.
I know, look at all those titles. So here, I'm going to move my camera real quick here, Paula. So I'm just going to tilt it up here.
Okay.
Yeah, I like ribbons. Can you see that?
Oh, that is hilarious. Yeah. And for those of you who are collecting ribbons, there's a ribbon. I'll post it in the comments after we end. There's that ribbon Facebook group, like what to do with and they have so many ideas. And
no, they're very creative.
It's very creative. I mean, it's like Pinterest on steroids. It's crazy.
But yeah, I have some strings up there, and I just hang them up there. And most of those ribbons, Paula, the majority of those ribbons that you just saw have nothing to do with conformation dog shows.
Wow. So they're all the other sports.
A few of them. These are all my other dabbly sports that we like to do with all my dogs. So
it's awesome.
I know, it's lots of fun. So if you like ribbons, find some ribbon sports. Barn Hunt has great ribbons. Scent Work has great ribbons. Lots of great ribbons.
Yep.
So if you like that sort of thing, okay. So then I know Mary asked a question. So Mary.
Oh, okay. I missed Mary's question.
No. I said earlier she asked a question. I bet Mary might have a comment on this. But there is Updog or Disc Dog. I know Mary and her crazy border collies, talented that they are, they participate in the Disc Dog and Updog. And those are sports that, kind of like it sounds, has to do with a Frisbee or a disc. I guess we can't call it a Frisbee because that's a brand, but a disc. Oh. And a lot of people have seen that on TV because that's a really popular sport that they show a lot of the events on TV where the dog catching these crazy catches, running up the handler's back and jumping off the handler's back. And
sometimes those are halftime shows.
I know. I've seen them also at the I'm a basketball fan, so I go down to State Farm Arena to the Hawks, and they've had the disc dogs doing halftime. So it's lots of fun, and you have those dogs that are super athletic. They turn on a dime, and they like to catch things. And then you have to have the talented human part too. If I throw a frisbee, I usually like dive it into the dirt because I'm not really good at tossing the frisbee.
But that's part of it, right? So that's what's great about a lot of these sports is, yes, the dog has to have that aptitude, but then you have to do something too.
Exactly.
And so you have to practice throwing that, disc over and over and over again without the dog.
And then you have to have, you have to have your routine. So you have to build a routine. So there's the creativity piece of it.
Mm-hmm. Select the right music.
It's not just flinging a frisbee straight out in the air. So it gives you a lot of opportunity to be creative with your dog and, spending time with your dog.
Yep.
It's not something you can just say, oh, let's go in the backyard for an hour today, and then we'll come back a month from now and try it again. So it's certainly something to get involved with your dog.
Mm-hmm.
Then they have some other kind of different things. Well, we didn't really talk about scent work and nose work. We just kind of talked on it at the beginning.
I know, we glazed over it like everybody knows what that is.
But it's your favorite, right? We love scent work. And so scent work and nose work, there's several different groups that do it. So it's just not the AKC. Matter of fact, AKC is kind of new to the party. But it's all kind of based on the same thought of like your drug detection, bomb detection, agriculture detection dogs. Basically what you're doing is the human part is asking the dog to learn that you want them to find a specific scent. In the case of the sports, they're essential oils. And things like birch, anise, clove, cypress. What are some of the others, Paula? I know you've done some.
I don't remember the higher level cypress guys have gone so far.
Those are the four that I know. Maybe frankincense and myrrh. I don't know. But but they have the different essential oils. But it's kind of the same as the Beagle Brigade out there searching the luggage for agriculture, or the GSP that they work in the airport down at Hartsfield Jackson is looking for whatever it is they're looking for. I'm assuming it's drugs, but I don't know. Maybe it's guns. I don't know what they're looking for.
It could be, depending on what they're trained for, right? Could be all kinds of things. There's snail dogs. But
our dogs, our sport dogs, are trained to find an essential oil. And so the human half has to figure out how to ask the dog half, because the dogs, they know what they're doing. You just have to have that communication as to this is what we're asking you to look for. Could you find it for me? Okay. What's in it for me?
Where exactly is it?
I know it's in the room, but could you show me? Because I'm stupid. I can't see it. Yeah. I know my dog, whenever I have a million pictures of her doing scent work trials, and all the pictures when she finds it, she's always cranking her head up and looking at me like, it's here, stupid. Can't you smell it? So it's definitely a team sport. The dog is the leader in that one. You kind of hanging on and learning what they know.
Yeah.
But it's certainly something that is lots of fun and very popular. It's gotten to be really popular, partially because it is instinctive. So most dogs like it, because what's not to like? You get to use your best scent. So your best scents, you get cookies, and you get to hang with your people all day. So what's not to like, right?
And all breeds can do that. I've seen blind dogs do it, tripods.
Dogs, old dogs.
Yeah, old dogs, younger dogs.
It's really good for the older dogs that maybe are retired from, say, Fast Cat or Agility, because they're physically just not able to perform it anymore, but they still want to go. They don't want to get left behind. So this is a really low impact kind of sport. It's cerebral. You can train it in your house. See, here we're doing a whole scent work thing, but you can practice in your house. You can go to class. I know that CCA has a lot of classes. Callie and I have taken classes there, but certainly gives us that opportunity to try this and that with scent work. So
and we're getting more and more trials coming up this fall. Right. So that's really exciting with the different clubs that are offering scent work in addition to other things.
And they have the different organizations. Like I said, United Kennel Club, they have scent work. And then, of course, the granddaddy is the, let me get the acronym right, National Association of Canine Scent Work. I can't
Good job. And don't forget Performance Scent Dog as well. And
Scent Dog as well.
Sea-Wags, I think, is also scent. So there's a lot of different, we don't see that down here as much, but there are so many venues to let your dog use their nose.
So if it's something you like, there's lots of opportunity to try. And everybody's a little bit different, so it's not always just the same thing.
Right.
So here's one that probably people don't think of as a sport, but it is, or it's a competition. Creative grooming.
What?
Exactly. Creative grooming.
Creative grooming. Okay, I'm listening.
All right. So,
I'm not going to do it, but I want to.
No, I'm not doing it either. But I want you to think about hair shows that they have for people, and you see, maybe the little YouTube videos of the beauty influencers, and they're doing their hairs and all this kind of thing. Well, there are people that do creative grooming, and they have competitions for it. And it's generally poodles, because, poodles have that great hair.
They do.
Some other dogs, but they do all kinds of creative grooming where they make them look like lions or.
Okay, I've kind of seen some of that. I didn't realize it was like that.
I realized that it was a competition. Okay. It is, because dog people are crazy. So yes, creative grooming. Creative
grooming. Wow. I mean, I think groomers in general should have awards because it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
Making them look like other animals.
And they do, scenes on them, on their hips with their forest or flowers, or very interesting.
Fascinating.
And you think about the dogs and how patient they are. And the dogs are just hanging out on the tables, wagging, and they don't look stressed at all. They look like
they're just enjoying it.
Look at me. Those are your diva, Kardashian dogs, I guess.
That's hilarious. Well, I'm going to pause you for a moment because we've got some different comments. Not a lot of questions. So if you guys have questions, feel free to jump on in. Some of you are, just like, yeah, I totally agree, or I love that. So I love hearing that. Cody was able to let us know that it was the acronym we were looking for earlier, the agility course test. We were talking about that was getting to try agility, right?
Right.
Yeah. And some people saying hi, they're, super fans of Jinnie. And yes, crazy dogs do not need any encouragement. Sounds like she's speaking from personal experience, right?
Mary has border collies. We know about them.
Oh, okay. And Jackie, she's loving all the dog sports. She's a dabbler as well, trying scent work and duck diving and some frisbee.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so definitely we're speaking to the right audience because they're doing some of these things, but I know, like me, they're learning about other things you can do, or maybe even other organizations that they can get involved in. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. We love providing these for you, and we're so thankful that Jinnie has all this knowledge because there's so much. Okay, so what else is on your list?
So let's see. Oh, so there's weight pulling. Now the United Kennel Club does weight pulling, and I have seen my friends that live in Alabama had a Yorkie, and a little tiny little Yorkie. What? You think about weight pulling with the Staffy Bulls, and the Rottweilers and the big old, and here Pepper, and Pepper was little. She's a little Yorkie. I don't know how much weight.
What is she pulling?
It's a sled, basically. Okay. But, and they put weight on the sled for the dogs as they.
And there's like an equivalent, right? So like if you're 5 pounds.
Right.
You pull 10 pounds or whatever it is.
The weight pull is something that any dog can do, apparently. But they had to find this little tiny, teeny harness for her. And it was crazy. The pictures were hilarious. And she didn't.
Wow.
She's like, okay, let's go,
Yeah. I mean, some of those little dogs are tough.
They are. So they've got that weight pulling, and I know that's a UKC sport. And they have a racer. The UKC also has like a speed race, which is a lure course kind of thing. But it's a speed race that they do. And let's see what else they have. And the UKC also has the agility and the rally and obedience, and they have weight pull, and they have their different variations of scent work. So there's a lot of opportunity with some of the other venues, just not AKC. I'm kind of an AKC gal because that's the venue I play in, but there's all kinds of different places. So if you're not in an area that has one, check out to see if they have the other. You know, it's just like the scent work. If you don't have an AKC, well, maybe you have nose work or some of the other venues. You're able to find trials and opportunities. So there's different organizations for that. And then there's some things that I kind of want to talk about that aren't necessarily sports, but there's certainly things that you can do with your dogs that gives the opportunity, again, to put letters behind their name, because, you know, I like that. But it's really not necessarily all of that. So like I said, the canine fitness, you know, you get a... but there's the Canine Good Citizen levels. And quite frankly, you're a dog trainer, you're dog school, training academy. Manners are something that every dog needs to be out in the world. So the Canine 100%. Good Citizen one of those things that kind of gives you the thumbs up for having a well-mannered dog. And they have 3 levels. They have the Canine Good Citizen, they have the Advanced, and then they have the Community Canine Good Citizen, or the Community Canine. And those 3 levels kind of are manners plus, and then I'm a dog about town kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Don't you have a program called that, Dog About Town?
Hound on the town, yeah.
Dog on the town. Okay, I knew something about town, but so that's definitely something to that you might have a dog with great manners, but you need some skills to go with it. So you get the skills and you go out and you do the good manners program, and then we have Trick Dog, and Trick Dog
is relatively new to the AKC as well.
Relatively new. So Trick Dog kind of is a CGC plus additional things, which are not just good manners and things about town, but actual tricks. You know, can they roll over and play dead? Can they do circle spins? And then it goes all the way up to performer, where you actually have to have music and theme, and you video it and you send it in for it to be evaluated. And so that's kind of the top of the. And that's your dogs that are gonna go to casting calls. And
totally, and you can do that here in Atlanta. So.
Atlanta, there's always a casting call, like every week.
Got plenty of students who've done it. Yep.
So this dog going here and this dog going there to get join the Screen Actors Guild there. The SAG award goes to. Yeah, maybe Pippin will win a SAG award. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
But again, it's not a sport, but it's an activity, and it's certainly something that you can do, and you get a certificate, and you get to say, my dog is, Frost, CGC. My dog is, Callie, TKN. That's those are the different titles on top of that. And then there's one that is very, it's not a sport, and it's really not an activity. It's a calling, and that's the therapy dogs. So therapy dogs, and for the audience, you have therapy dogs are not service dogs, and they're not emotional support dogs, although they do both of those things. But therapy dogs are dogs that go out in the community to provide comfort, entertainment, enjoyment, just, the doggy goodness that they are. Mm-hmm. And there's a recognition program for that. So you can get letters behind your name when you have therapy dogs, and it's based on your commitment to the visits. So how many visits you get to be a therapy dog. And so like I said, it's not really a sport or an activity, but it's a calling. But it's nice to have that recognition, right? It's like we go out and we do a lot, and so my dog has the recognition because they're great at it. So those are some of the not necessarily sports, but activities that they have. There's some other types of certifications, like farm dog. That's kind of fun. Yeah. So we talked about CGC, which is good manners. Well, the farm dog is basically good manners, a CGC on the farm? Can they go out and be on a farm and are they able to handle the noise of a tractor? Do they walk politely around stock, or do they get all crazy, when you go on stock? I took Bailey to the farm dog. I'm a farm dog judge, and I had to excuse myself because we're not going to pass this. Can I be excused, please? Because as soon as she saw the stock, she's like, sheep. So, we were over with it. I'm like, may I be excused, please? I can't even pass myself. So, but being able to walk on different materials and
because it's a totally different lifestyle than what we typically live in, right?
Exactly. Today, urban dogs don't see stock. They don't walk it over straw. They don't listen. I mean, they might. Well, here in Atlanta, you hear the lawnmowers every day, but you may not.
But it's very different. The different smells,
And so, so it's an opportunity to go out and take your dog out and hang out on the farm for the day and see how they do. And like I said, sometimes they do great. I've got some farm dog certified dogs, and then there's Bailey. So, yes, I said your name. So these are some of the opportunities that you have. There's a lot of them. So
there are.
To give you just kind of an overview of how to get involved. So AKC, okay, their website is kind of weird. I wish they'd
I'm glad you said it. I didn't say it.
Yeah,
It's not always user-friendly.
It's not always user-friendly. But you can use Google to get to the right page. But there is an events calendar. So at the top, if you go to akc.org, and there's a tab that says events. And there's a calendar, and you can do a search based on where you live. You can put the little states, highlight them and tell them which activity you're looking for. And that will bring up all the events that are currently on the calendar. So that's one way to look up the AKC sports. For other events like dock diving, barn hunt, the different scent organizations, you can just look those up, Google them, find their web pages, and then see where, to find their calendars. Barn hunt is super user-friendly. I use that one. That's why I can speak to that one. But the whole thing with dock diving and flyball, all the different sports, there's an organization that oversees them. So just do that and find them. So, but one of the things I do want to impart to you all is that if you're going to try a new sport, it's really important to do two things. First of all, read the rules. And I know usually they're like this big and you're like, why? But if you don't know the rules, then you don't know how to train correctly. If you don't know how to train correctly, you get in there and then you're disappointed because maybe you get disqualified for something that you just didn't know that you weren't supposed to do.
Totally.
And so that's sad because you worked really hard and then you get DQ'd because you made a boo-boo that you didn't know about. So read the rules. And the other thing is something that is near and dear to my heart that I harp about all the time is if you're going to try something new, try and find a mentor. And it doesn't even have to be a physical mentor. There are a bazillion Facebook groups out there that are geared towards your dog sports. I'll use Scent Work because there's the Friends of AKC Scent Work.
Mm-hmm.
And there are lots of people on there, and you can go on and ask a question, and they can help you or they can lead you to the right place. But find a mentor. Don't just go it on your own, especially at the beginning, because they'll help you navigate where to go, what to bring, what kind of equipment do you need, what not to bring.
Mm-hmm. How to fill out paperwork. That's something, you and I both have had to help, students with is filling out paperwork because sometimes I feel like it's government paperwork.
And what do you need and what do you not need? And which information is critical and what can be left off. So exactly.
Do I do A or B?
Which class do I enter if I'm here, if I'm there? So try to make sure, try and find a mentor, even if it's a virtual mentor, somebody that can help you. And people want to help. I mean, they really do. So take advantage of people's knowledge and, those that want to help. Find a mentor, but definitely look at the rules. Don't just go in blind because that's just not good for you, because that's the sad thing is you do all the right things and then you get there and you don't get to play because you didn't follow the rules. And rules is rules.
Yep.
But take time to find something that you want to do with your dog. I mean, even if it's just, I'm going to go get the Fit Canine patch because I walk my dog every day. Hey, it's something, it's a start.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens is it's kind of like potato chips. And then you try the next thing, and pretty soon you're a crazy dog person. So, buying a band.
Totally happened to me.
And you can dabble. I mean, you don't have to go for the highest level. And that's me. I'm a dabbler. I like a little of this and a little of that. I mean, I never really thought I'd have a dog that had 12 titles at the back of her name, but I do, because we dabble. And some of them are the higher level and some of them are lower level, but we have a good time. And that's what it's about. I mean, that's why we enjoy our dogs, and we enjoy dog people for the most part. And we enjoy doing things. And you get to travel to a lot of fun places, like fairgrounds. So very fun.
Yeah, and there's a lot of if you tap into the right community, and I know that's how I know Jinnie is through set work, right? So we tap into that community, and if you are a crazy dog person, and you typically want to hang around other people who have the same interest of having really good relationships with your dogs. You don't always find that at every venue. Some people just want the ribbon, and that's not who Jinnie and I are at all. We enjoy the ribbon because that just shows our relationship with our dog, our work we've put in, with our dogs. And that's what it's really all about. And that's why, we're having this conversation. But you tap into this community and people will support you if it's the right group. So if you get kind of discouraged, I know I've had some students recently at different competitions and they didn't have the greatest experience, but that's not the norm. You have to tap into the right group and sit with them, set up with them, tailgate with them at whatever venue you're at, because it's so much fun to get to share that experience with other like-minded people.
Exactly. And I always say sometimes that some crazy dog people are really, really good with dogs, but they're not really, really good with people, especially at the beginning. So sometimes you have to have some grace and understand that may be that they're really focused on their dogs because they're not fabulous, people. Maybe they're very introverted and that's their outlet. So give everybody some grace. And if you don't find the great relationship, well, move on. It's okay.
Yeah, totally. Keep trying. Don't give up. It's just like anything, right? It can happen anywhere you go.
Exactly.
The thing I also want to really point out to people, if you really want to get interested in any of these sports, in addition to reading the rules and having that mentor, is volunteer.
Yes.
These activities a lot of times are put on by, a club, but that means that volunteers outside of the club need to help as well. So I know we really appreciate when, people volunteer for our things, and when we've been able to work with, the AOC on different activities to volunteer. It means the world because you're going to make it a great experience for other people, and you're going to learn because the more you watch, it's just priceless. It's free education, in real life, and that's just amazing. And I know there'll be some opportunities coming up to volunteer for a lot of different activities.
Yes, and just for example, when I first got started in dogs, I was strictly doing conformation. So championships, that kind of thing. But I spent a year volunteering as a steward before I ever started searching for a show dog. So by the time I got ready to go into the ring, now I'm not saying I was good because I wasn't good, but I knew all what I was supposed to do. It was not a surprise. I knew where I was supposed to stand. I knew where I was supposed to go. I knew the expectation.
Right.
And so that whole volunteer thing, plus when you volunteer like at scent work, if you're volunteering where you get to watch other dogs, you definitely have, and gives you more information to use on your own dogs. So volunteering is a fabulous way to start, and then it's not a surprise.
You get comfortable in the environment, you get to know people. It's really good. So we're going to wrap up here. If you guys have any other questions, please post them in the comments. We will check in after this broadcast is over as well to answer any questions you have. So, one of the things we talked about was like, how do you find out? You go to the AKC's website, you go and Google, barn hunt organization to find things. But there's different clubs you can follow locally. There's, I've learned this year that, there's your biggest venue is going to be a cluster show, right? Where there's multiple clubs coming in offering different things. You could dabble and a variety of things. But sometimes there's one-offs, right? Like people will travel to go to a fast cat or, you know, barn hunt. It's one-off thing, but you just kind of have to look, right? And just get to know those things in your area that you're willing to travel.
And really join some Facebook groups. Like there's the Southeast. There's a Southeast dog event group. There's a Southeast scent work group. Different obedience groups, and definitely wherever you are, there's, you know, because I don't know if, like I said, I invited everybody to come today.
Yeah, so I don't know where everybody in the country could see that. Yeah.
But wherever you're at, really look on Facebook. Social media is a great tool these days for connections and finding out, especially when and where things are. Even if it's just like I know on the Southeast Scent Work, sometimes we just post, "Hey, we're gonna go do some hides. Anybody want to come?" And people just show up places, and so things like that gives you the opportunity to, maybe if you're not ready to do the sport, but you might be ready to meet the people. So, you know, and that way you can ask questions.
Yes, absolutely. Get involved. All right. Well, it has been an absolute pleasure. I learned a lot in our 1 hour with you, Jinnie. As always, such a wealth of knowledge. And I encourage you guys to keep the conversation going. If there are any topics or any guests you'd like me to host, I love doing this because I get to learn. I'm curious. I like to learn new things and get hooked on new things like Fast Cat. If you haven't done it, I'm just going to warn you. It's addictive. It doesn't really cost anything but your time and a little bit of money, but it is addictive. And we do have a fitness workshop focused on Fast Cat on September 15th. There are some spots available because a lot of these activities do require that you keep your dog fit. Mm-hmm. And so definitely with Fast Cat, you know, this is, you know, someone sprinting across a field. Even though our dogs are all athletes by nature, it is a lot on their body. So make sure to check that out. But if there's anything else you're interested in, we like providing educational opportunities. And Jinnie was so kind to say, hey, I have this topic. I think people would like it. And I think people are going to get a lot of value out of this because there's just so much we don't know.
There is
we can do with our dogs and enjoy more time with them. So Jinnie, any last words before we say goodbye?
Find something you want to do with your dog. I mean, couch potatoing is great. Netflix and chill is great. But dogs really want something to do. All of them. Even your little tiny lap dog, they want something to do. And they'd rather do it with you than making up their own thing in the yard. So find something to do. It's fun.
100%. And it really helps the relationship and wards off any behavioral issues that I want to avoid seeing you about. All right, cool. Well, thanks, guys. Keep the conversation going. I'm going to wrap this up. Feel free to share this with anyone who might find it of value. And till next time, see you.
Bye, everybody. Thanks so much. I appreciate your time.